and welcome to the very first daily debrief of the Paramedic AF show. This is going to be a slightly different format, kind of harkening back to the old shift shorts that we used to do. Main thing driving this has been our schedule has been insane, to say the least. And it's been just harder and harder to logistically make it to where Michelle and I can record every week and still be able to have a life on top of that. So I am going to be doing these episodes. They're going to be a lot shorter. They're going to be kind of more of a morning wake up conversation, whatever. And we're still going to do the longer episodes. We're still going to have ones where Michelle and I are together and we're going to be interviewing people. And those, I'm kind of on the fence about moving forward if those are just going to be on the regular YouTube and audio podcast platforms, or if we're going to do something a little different. You know, we've thrown around different things where we don't want to monetize through, like, you know, sponsors or whatever, or we throw commercials in your face. But we are looking at things like Patreon, for example, or if we can get YouTube to the point where we can have an actual subscription model there for the longer form content with the interviews, more educational, focused stuff, whatever the case may be. We're still looking at how that's going to play out, but we still want consistent content coming out to you guys for free, because that's the entire purpose of what we're doing here. So my goal is for these to be a Monday through Friday kind of thing. So I'm going to actually be putting these together kind of in batches and putting them out to you guys. So hope you like it. And we're just going to kind of stick with straightforward topics. And today, the first thing I really wanted to hit on is, if you spend any time on the internet talking about EMS, talking with people about EMS, what the underlying theme that you get from a lot of people is that EMS is hopeless. We feel stuck as an industry, that we're never going to get any better. We're not listened to. We're not taken care of. We're not going to progress. And while there are certain aspects where that seems true right now, I really don't believe that's the spot where we're going to be stuck. Now, clinically speaking, we are progressing as an industry. We are making moves forward, and especially in other countries, there's been a lot of more aggressive advancements that we are maybe not quite as on schedule with. And so even though, yes, we're making progress clinically, we're very out of sync as an industry. There's not a uniform hub, if you will, for what clinical expectations are and who's setting the standard for everybody else and how is that playing out in a methodical way. It's very hodgepodge. It's very, here and there. These people are doing this. These people are doing that. This agency's testing this out, but this one doesn't want to do basic stuff that the other agency's been doing for 10 years. And we're just in this constant back and forth, and it sucks. So clinically speaking, yes, we're doing good things, but I think we're losing a lot of momentum, and we're not where we could be if we were all on the same page. Now, when you look culturally at where we are, and this is encompassing our internal culture, so provider to provider, how we as an industry relate to the public as a whole, all of these different aspects of culture, we're not doing well. We're really not. We are not consistently managing our own mental health very well. Yes, there are teams out there, there are organizations out there that are trying, but as an industry, we don't have a united front on this stuff. So we don't do well with mental health. We don't do well with leadership development. We don't do well with giving people a path to move up. It's very secret sauce. If you're not in the know, you don't know. and decisions for why people are promoted versus other people aren't promoted are very much cloak and dagger. Like you're not privileged to hear that information, and it's shitty. It shouldn't be that way. I think also there's an area of our culture where we're just outright rotting, and that's the faction of people who believe that we should be less, we should do less, we should be doing less advanced medicine. And these are the people who have embraced the identity as ambulance drivers. Now, we joke about it. We poke fun at each other for being ambulance drivers, just like we poke fun at firefighters for being, hose stretchers and stretcher fetchers and all that stuff. We all poke fun at each other, but there's a difference between poking fun and not taking yourself too seriously versus actually demeaning your industry. And I think that's kind of the point that we're at with a lot of these folks is there's an active demeaning of our industry and of our identity as providers that is sucking us down from within. And it's something that has given the salty people something to latch onto, kind of a bandwagon to be a part of. Because a lot of people think, oh, the salty people are the ones who are towing the line. No, they're not. No, they're not. The salty people are not towing the line. They are not pushing for the advancement of medicine. They are looking to do less work. They are trying to get away with doing less. And as long as we allow these people to run the show, we're just going to get dragged down deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So when you have the salty people, okay, there's still a lot to learn from them. And sure, maybe there's some where they're salty, but they do actually deep down care. And when you bring that out of them, they actually do want to participate. They actually do want to make things better. So I'm not saying that just because someone's salty means that they're a lost cause. No, there's plenty of options. There's plenty of ways for people like that to step up and to improve the industry and do better and make us better. But because a lot of those people have seen a lot of things and have done a lot of things, and if they've been conscientious during their career, then they can apply those things to making our industry better. So, are we stuck? Are we hopeless? Is there no way that we're moving out of this? And I would say no. I think that there's certain things that we can't control. We can't control what the government does. We can't control, directly speaking, where our federal government funding comes from. We can't control what the hospitals do. We can't control what other countries are doing, other EMS agencies. But I think that the biggest service that we could do to the industry is to find a united voice, to find a rallying point, to get everybody singing the same song. And when you have that kind of ideology infecting an industry, it's naturally going to ripple out towards other people. It's naturally going to draw in the people that actually care, that actually want to see things made better. And that's what we want. That's what we want to achieve. So I think that when it comes to synchronizing our clinical advancements, I think that we can actually start to make some progress there if you get enough of the right entities involved. If you get an organization like National Registry who is willing to collaborate more broadly with other countries, with other entities, and you have states, and even, you could say even the federal government, willing to push everybody to be on the same page, then yes, absolutely, I think we can see some positive improvement there. Now, when it comes culturally, this is where everybody gets pissy, because everybody wants to point the finger at everybody else. They want to point the finger at management. They want to point the finger at the abuse of 911, the people who call too much. They want to point the finger at everybody, but when it comes down to it, if everybody's doing that, then nobody's actually going to do anything. Because if everybody's at each other's throats and shifting the blame everywhere else, then no one's going to accept responsibility. No one is going to take on this responsibility of actually doing shit to change shit. It's just going to be a vicious cycle of passing the hot potato to everybody else to try and avoid the guilt and frustration and the headache, quite frankly, of taking on changing the culture. And I think that, as cliched as it is to say, you really, each of us needs to be that change that we want to see. If you want to see better attitudes, you need to be projecting a better attitude. If you want to see a higher standard of care, you need to be performing a higher standard of care. If you want to see better leadership, you need to be leading wherever you are, whether you're a brand new EMT who's taking initiative to do what you're expected to do in a day, or if you're a seasoned paramedic who is finding their voice to make positive change in their agency. Whatever the case may be, that's incumbent on all of us to do that. And when we all start doing that, we're all going to be able to reap the rewards of that. Because yes, people tend to gravitate towards negativity, but what people gravitate more towards is who are the people that are, I guess you could say, drawing the most attention. Because why are people all negative? Because it's cool. They think it's cool. It's cool to be salty. It's cool to be negative. It's cool to shit talk everything and complain about everything and everybody. Well, not that I'm saying, oh, we need to make it cool to like be professional, but we need to demonstrate that there is a positive outcome to it. There is a necessity to this. And I think that pushing us in that direction where we start to redefine what our norms are, what's socially acceptable in our industry, I think that will go a long way to tackling these problems, to addressing the culture. Now, we can spin off on a bunch of different things, and that's what other episodes will be on. Of, well, how does recruitment and retention play into this? Well, it plays a huge role in this. How is leadership factored into this? Well, leadership is an incredibly important topic, and especially how upper management should be playing a role in addressing this, even though it doesn't solely fall on them, but the responsibility is shared by leadership to correct these problems. And there's tangible ways to do that. And obviously every system is different. So your system where you are right now, you may not have this mountain of problems. You may only have a problem here, a problem there, whatever. But there's a lot of people out there who are facing a lot of heavy shit. And so don't become tone deaf to the other problems out there just because they're not on your doorstep right now, because they probably will be. They probably will be eventually. Because what do we naturally see? There's a natural life cycle of agencies that they tend to start close to their peak and then drop off after that. And they very rarely ever get back to that peak. And I think a lot of that is because we are not good at adapting to culture shifts. We don't like change. As much as we can adapt to dynamic calls and seeing situations, we don't do very well addressing cultural shifts. We don't do very well addressing mindset shifts. And there's a lot of ways that we used to do things in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s that just aren't sustainable anymore. And it doesn't mean that everybody who thinks that way and acts that way is bad or awful. It just means, hey, we can't keep doing this. We need to adapt. So, and that's what Paramedic AF has always been about. And that's what I want these daily debriefs to be focused on is let's adapt. Let's tackle the real world problems in real time and actually engage in practical solutions. So for you today, if you're on your way into work or you just left work and you're feeling really shitty, the takeaway I want you to have for today is look at yourself, take an honest inventory of your behavior, your attitude, the way that you play your role in your agency and in this industry, and ask yourself what needs to change. What can I change? What are the things you actually can change and push back on and redefine in your own life and see what good you can actually do by taking that initiative. So that's all I got for the day. Talk to you guys next time. Bye bye.